The shower room tiles were cold against my back. Brenda Mason stood over me, 6'1", 220 pounds of pure hatred, her foot pressed down on my chest. Not hard enough to break anything, just hard enough to remind me how small I was. "Look at you," she laughed. Her crew laughed with her, 4 women forming a wall between me and the exit. "Little doll on the floor. You gonna cry, Tiny? Gonna call for mommy?" I was 4'2", 91 pounds soaking wet, and I was soaking wet. They dragged me out of the shower. "Every day," Brenda said, leaning down. "Every single day until I get bored. And I don't get bored easy." Her crew laughed again. I should have been terrified. I should have begged. That's what everyone expected. That's what everyone always expected from someone my size. But something inside me snapped. It not broke, snapped, like a rubber band pulled too far. "You done?" Brenda blinked. "What?" "I asked if you're done." My voice was calm, steady. "Because I have things to do." Silence. Brenda's face twisted, confusion becoming rage. "You got a death wish, Tiny?" "My name is Rosa, and no, I don't have a death wish." I looked directly into her eyes. "But if you keep this up, you might." The shower room went dead silent. Nobody talked to Brenda Mason like that. Nobody. She'd hospitalized 3 inmates in the last year, blinded 1 woman with a sharpened toothbrush. And here I was, 4'2", threatening her. What happened next would become legend at Havenwood Women's Correctional. But to understand it, I need to take you back to the beginning. Before I continue, if you're new to Behind Bar Tales, welcome. This is where we share the most powerful stories of survival from behind prison walls. Stories of the underdog. Stories of people who refuse to break. If you want to know how a 4'2" woman brought down the most feared bully in Havenwood, stay until the end. Trust me, you won't see it coming. Subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell. Let's go back to where this all began. My name is Rosa Delgado. I was born with achondroplasia, the most common form of dwarfism. My arms and legs didn't grow like everyone else's. By the time I stopped growing, I was 4'2" tall. Growing up wasn't easy. Kids are cruel. Adults aren't much better. I learned early that the world wasn't built for people like me. Doorknobs too high, shelves out of reach, chairs that left my feet dangling. But my grandmother taught me something important. "Rosa," she'd say, "your body is small, but your spirit can be as big as you choose." I chose big. I studied hard, got a degree in accounting, built a career, had a small apartment, and a cat named Gatto. Then I made one terrible mistake. I trusted the wrong person. My business partner was laundering money for a cartel. I didn't know, but my signature was on the documents. When the feds came, they came for both of us. He fled to Mexico. I went to prison. 3 years. Federal charges reduced to state level. Havenwood Women's Correctional Facility. I was 41 years old, 4'2", 91 pounds, walking into a den of wolves. Havenwood was a medium security facility in rural Pennsylvania, built in the 1990s, held about 600 women. Not the worst prison, not the best. But it had Brenda Mason. Brenda had been at Havenwood for 7 years, serving 15 for aggravated assault and manslaughter. She'd beaten her boyfriend's mistress so badly the woman had died 3 days later. Inside Havenwood, she'd built an empire, not through drugs or contraband, through pure fear. Brenda was massive, 6'1", built like a linebacker. She'd grown up fighting. Her father was a bare-knuckle boxer who'd trained her since she could walk. By the time she arrived at Havenwood, violence was her native language. The guards feared her. The administration transferred anyone who complained too loudly. And the inmates learned to stay invisible. Brenda had a crew. 4 women who served as her enforcers. They called themselves the Court. Brenda was the queen, and the queen had one favorite game: finding the weakest inmate and making her life a living hell. When I walked into Block C on my first day, Brenda took one look at me and smiled. She'd found her new toy. The harassment started immediately. Day 1. My mattress disappeared. I slept on bare metal springs. Day 2. My food got accidentally knocked off my tray 3 times. Day 3. Someone poured something in my shoes. They burned my feet so badly I could barely walk. Day 4. The nicknames started. Tiny, half-pint, doll, munchkin, elf. Each one delivered with a laugh. Day 5. Brenda cornered me in the common room. "You're cute," she said, circling me like a shark. "Like a little toy. I always wanted a toy I could break." Her crew laughed. I said nothing. Kept my head down. Tried to survive. But survival wasn't enough for Brenda. She wanted submission. She wanted tears. She wanted to see me crawl. I wouldn't give her that. And that made everything worse. By the end of week 1, I had bruises covering my arms, a black eye, a split lip that wouldn't heal because someone kept reopening it. The guards did nothing. They'd learned long ago that interfering with Brenda meant trouble. I was alone. 4'2" of alone. Her name was Margaret. Everyone called her Mags. 67 years old, serving life without parole. She'd killed her abusive husband in 1989 after 30 years of beatings. Mags had been at Havenwood longer than anyone. She'd seen wardens come and go, seen gangs rise and fall, seen 100 Brendas. She kept to herself mostly, read books, tended the small garden behind the chapel, spoke to no one. But on my 8th day, she spoke to me. I was in the library, hiding. It was the one place Brenda rarely came. She wasn't much for reading. Mag sat down across from me. "You're the little one." I looked up. Her face was weathered, kind eyes buried in wrinkles. "I'm Rosa. I know who you are." She studied me. "I know what's happening to you." "Everyone knows. No one cares." "That's not entirely true." She leaned forward. "And I've been watching you, Rosa. 8 days of hell and you haven't broken. Haven't begged. Haven't cried where anyone can see. What's the point? It won't change anything. Maybe not, but it tells me something about you." She paused. "You're stronger than you look." "I'm 4'2". I'm not strong at all." Mag smiled. It transformed her face. "Strength isn't about size, child. I've seen big women crumble at the first sign of trouble. I've seen small women move mountains." "What am I supposed to do? Fight her? She'd kill me." "Fighting isn't the only way to win." Mags leaned back. "You're an accountant, right? You understand numbers, systems, how things work." "Yes." "Then think like an accountant. Brenda is a system. Every system has weaknesses. Find hers." She stood up. "I'll be watching, Rosa. Don't disappoint me." She walked away. I sat there, her words echoing in my mind. Every system has weaknesses. Find hers. I started watching Brenda differently. Not as prey watching a predator, as an analyst studying a problem. Brenda's power came from fear. That was obvious. But fear alone wasn't enough. There had to be something else. I watched. I listened. I took mental notes. Week 2. I noticed things. Brenda never went to the commissary herself. Her crew went for her. She'd give them a list and they'd bring back what she wanted. Why? I dug deeper, asked careful questions to inmates who weren't part of the court. The answer came from a woman named Delia, serving time for check fraud. "Brenda can't read." "What?" "She's illiterate, never learned, grew up in foster homes. Nobody bothered to teach her. She's smart enough to hide it, but she can't read a single word." Illiterate. That's why she avoided the library. Why her crew handled the commissary. Why she never signed up for programs that required paperwork. I filed that away. I kept watching. Week 3. Another discovery. Brenda's power wasn't just fear, it was protection. The warden looked the other way because Brenda kept the peace in her own twisted way. No gang wars, no riots, just Brenda's controlled violence keeping everyone in line. The warden needed Brenda. But what if Brenda became more trouble than she was worth? I kept watching. Week 4. The biggest discovery. Brenda was terrified of the SHU, solitary confinement. I overheard her talking to one of her crew. She'd spent 60 days in solitary 3 years ago. It had almost broken her. Claustrophobia, panic attacks, nightmares. The woman who feared nothing was afraid of small spaces. I had my weaknesses. Now I needed a plan. Week 5. Brenda escalated. She cornered me in the shower room. Her crew blocked the exits. I was naked, vulnerable, alone. That's where the story began. Her foot on my chest, her laughter echoing off the tiles. You done? She blinked at my words. What? I asked if you're done, because I have things to do. The silence was deafening. Brenda's face twisted with rage. You got a death wish, Tiny? My name is Rosa. And no, I don't have a death wish. But if you keep this up, you might. She grabbed me by the throat, lifted me off the ground. My feet dangled. I couldn't breathe. Give me one reason not to end you right now. I choked out the words. Because I know about Riverside. Her grip loosened, just slightly. What did you say? Riverside, 2019, the woman who didn't die. Brenda's face went white. She dropped me. I collapsed to the wet tiles, gasping for air. How do you know about that? I rubbed my throat, looked up at her. I'm an accountant, Brenda. I find things, hidden things. I've been finding things about you for 4 weeks. I struggled to my feet, naked, bruised, 4'2". But somehow I was the one in control. The woman in Riverside, the one you thought you killed. She didn't die. She's in witness protection. She's been building a case, and she's very, very close to having enough. Brenda was shaking. That's impossible. She's dead. I made sure. You made sure of nothing. You assumed. And now I have documentation, letters, records, enough to bring investigators straight to Havenwood. I was bluffing. Partially. I'd found references to something in Riverside, fragments of information from inmates who'd known Brenda before. But I didn't have documentation. I didn't have proof. I had a story, and sometimes a story is enough. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to leave me alone, completely alone. You're going to tell your crew I'm off limits, and you're going to pretend I don't exist. And if I don't, then everything I have goes to the warden, goes to the FBI, goes everywhere. And you spend the rest of your life in the SHU, alone, in a tiny box, for the rest of your life. I watched her face, saw the claustrophobia flicker in her eyes, saw the panic she tried to hide. We understand each other? Brenda stared at me for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out. Her crew followed, confused, silent. I stood alone in the shower room, shaking, terrified but alive and free. The next day, everything changed. Brenda's crew avoided me like I was radioactive. Inmates who'd ignored me for weeks suddenly nodded in acknowledgement. The guards looked at me differently. Word had spread. Something had happened in the shower room. The little woman had faced down the queen and walked away. Nobody knew exactly what I'd said. The rumors varied wildly. Some said I had connections to a cartel. Others said I'd threatened her family. Others said I knew about hidden bodies. I let the rumors grow. Mystery was my protection now. Mags found me in the library that afternoon. I heard what happened. News travels fast. Everything travels fast in here. She sat down across from me. Riverside. Clever. Was any of it true? Some of it, enough of it, maybe none of it. Does it matter? Mags smiled. When you found her weakness. Like you said, every system has one. And you exploited it. Without throwing a single punch. I shrugged. I'm 4'2". Punches aren't my strength. Mags laughed. A genuine, warm laugh. You've got a gift, Rosa. Don't waste it. What do you mean? She leaned forward. There are other women in here. Women being bullied. Women being abused. Women with no one to protect them. I can barely protect myself. But you did protect yourself. With your mind. With your courage. That's more than most people ever manage. She stood up. Think about it. She walked away. I thought about it. The next 18 months changed me. I couldn't fight the Brendas of the world with my fists, but I could fight them with information, with strategy, with the kind of intelligence that doesn't show up on a scale or a measuring tape. I started helping other inmates, quietly, carefully. The woman being extorted by another inmate. I found leverage. The woman being harassed by a guard. I documented patterns, filed complaints that couldn't be ignored. I became known as someone who solved problems, not with violence, with brains. Mags became my mentor. She'd been doing something similar for decades, quietly, in the shadows, protecting women who couldn't protect themselves. Together, we built a network. And Brenda? She kept her distance. Completely. We never spoke again. She'd occasionally look at me across the yard. I'd meet her gaze. Well, she'd look away first. The queen had been dethroned, not by force, by a 4'2" woman with nothing but her mind. I served 26 months. Good behavior, early release. The day I walked out, Mags was waiting in the visiting area for her weekly call with her granddaughter. We'd said our goodbyes the night before, but she caught my eye through the glass. She nodded. I nodded back. That was enough. My sister was waiting outside. She hugged me for 5 minutes straight. God, Rosa, I was so worried. I know, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just be home. Home. I dreamed about that word for 26 months. The drive back was quiet. I watched the trees pass, the sky, the freedom. Finally, my sister spoke. What was it like? Really? I thought about it. Hard. Harder than I can explain. But you survived. I did more than survive. I looked at my hands. Small hands. Hands that had never thrown a punch. I stood tall. My sister didn't understand. How could she? But I understood. For 41 years, I'd let the world tell me I was small. Too small to matter. Too small to be strong. Too small to fight back. Havenwood taught me the truth. Size is just a number. Strength is a choice. And the smallest person in the room can cast the longest shadow. And that's the story. The story of Rosa Delgado, 4'2", 91 pounds. The woman who brought down a queen without throwing a single punch. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't your fists. It's your mind. It's your courage. It's the refusal to break no matter how hard they try to bend you. If this story moved you, if it made you believe that anyone can stand tall, then do me a favor. Subscribe to Behind Bar Tales right now. Hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below. Tell me about a time you stood up to someone who underestimated you. Share your story, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who feels small, someone who feels powerless, someone who needs to remember that strength comes in all sizes. Until next time, stand tall, stay strong, never let them break you. This is Behind Bar Tales. See you in the next one. See.